this pond today down in the North Down area. Unfortunately, the pond was emptied over the winter by otters, so we've been back putting some electric fences around it, trying to sort of stop the otters from getting in again. It's the second time they've got in. The first time they only got away with one fish, and we thought we'd stop the problem by blocking up a fence, but they've come back in around under through a hedgerow or something on the other side and managed to get all his fish this time, unfortunately. It's quite a nice pond and garden here. I'll just flip this around, you'll be able to see it. So this is like a solid bedrock backdrop to the pond. There's actually a pond at the top there which overflows down in a waterfall with a large 50,000 litre an hour pump down into this bottom pond, which is still half empty at the minute. There's two bottom drains in the bottom pond and a skimmer which go into this red label Combi biofilter. Two underwater returns. The pond's all fiberglassed and a few planters put into the corners. It's more a decorative pond than a true sort of traditional koi pond. It really is quite a nice garden. Just need to get the electric fence finished off today, get it all topped up. We're putting a new sump pump into the filter house area to deal with all the wastewater. The pond unfortunately is below the level of all the drains down here, so the waste has to be pumped away. So this is the top pond. It's just really kept for goldfish, water lilies planted up and stuff like that. It's filtered by an Easy Pod. I'll just show you the wee filter house for it. Nice and snug in here for the Easy Pod and stuff. And get that bulb changed on the UV. A bit of a blanket weed problem in this pond at the top. We're going to put a treatment in here now. Let it kill off the blanket weed and then we'll come back and do a bit of a vac out and stuff maybe in a week's time. You can see the drop down into the koi pond at the bottom. That big pump that's down in the filter house at the background there, you can see it just pumps right up to the top here, comes in round and literally overflows this top bit. It's really only used maybe a few times a year if there's any garden parties or barbecues and things like that. It really is a lovely garden. Not too sure if you can see the blanket weed in the pond. It's quite bad. That's the blanket weed treatment added into the pond. We'll leave this now for about a week or so. Come back and do a bit of vac out and tidy up. Normally we'd like to remove as much of the blanket weed first before we put the treatment in, but with so much growth on the water lilies and water hawthorn and stuff, if we start trailing it out, we're only going to snap off all the new growth on the plants. So we'll just leave it as it is and come back and do a vac out in a week or two. So just back out here at this job, we added the blanket weed treatment there a few days ago. You can see it starting to kill off the blanket weed now, and then as soon as it sort of kills most of it off, we'll come in and give it a good clean out. We didn't want to try and clean it out too much while the blanket weed was bad, because it would end up ripping the water lilies and stuff apart, trying to get it all out. I'll just flick this round. Now you can sort of see there now it's starting to die back in the bottom of the pond. It's going like a light green and white colour. I'll just go down to the bottom pond here. The gardener's in doing a bit of tidying up now. Yeah, so with this filled up now, the filters are all running. Water was a bit green because there was dirt coming down from off this back wall without the filtration running. I'll give it a few days, it should be back to clear, and then it'll be ready for a few fish to go in if this weather picks up a bit. I'll come back to this one in a few days' time. Just out to collect some fish to move to another customer's pond here. Out with Rob here at his pond. Just flip this round, you'll see the pond. And you can see by the stocking numbers he needs to thin this down a bit. These are going to another customer called Alan's pond down in Bangor. I'll put a link down below for the full video. Well, we're back down now at this other pond we're bringing the fish down to. We've done a bit of work on this over the last few weeks. Put the electric fence and stuff on to prevent the otters getting back in again. Cleaned out the filter room and changed UV bulbs and things like that. So the pond's now ready for the fish to go in. All cleaned out, ready to go. There's a bit of settlement in the pond, just because there's been no fish in it. I'm sure whenever the fish get in, they'll kick that all up and it'll make its way back down into the filters. It'll be good to see a few fish back in this pond now. It's been lying empty for too long. The fish all settled in now. Hopefully this electric fence will keep the otter out again. The pond's been done twice in the last 10 years by the otter. They do seem to be getting a lot more of a problem around this area. Just run you quickly through the pond build itself. It was it's all fiberglass, but it's built on the actual bedrock, just with a small thin concrete base, really, just to level out the ground. There's two bottom drains, just standard ones, no air domes or anything like that on them. They run into this filter house on the red label combi drum. You see the two bottom drains there, and a skimmer. And then there's two 20,000 Very pumps there running off the drum filter. I have one of them switched off at the minute, that's why the valves are closed slightly, just to balance the flow. I'll put it back on before we leave. And there's two returns out of the pond. They actually come out of the wall here and under the ground and along the front and back into here. Now the water's gone a bit cloudy since I put the fish in, because there was a bit of an algae settlement on the bottom, because the top pond had been running. There's a large waterfall runs over the top of it, and it washes all this moss and stuff off the rocks when it's running. Usually it'll clear within 12 hours or so. Certainly by tomorrow it'll be back to being crystal clear. beautiful pond.